In Republic Book 9, Plato finally answers Glaucon's challenge from Book 2. He shows how being just is advantageous even when it is not rewarded by a good reputation. Glaucon, you remember, suggested comparing two extreme lives: A, the unjust person with a reputation for justice, and B, the just person with a reputation for injustice. Which person, he asks, lives the happier or more excellent or objectively better life? Which person would we choose to be if we had a choice? Plato argues that life B is far happier, and that anyone who knows the truth about human beings would choose life B over life A. In Book 9, Plato gives three arguments that the just life is happier than the unjust life. In this video, I will talk about parts of the first two arguments and give you two discussion questions to consider. At 576b, Socrates begins his analysis of the worst type of man. The worst man's tyrannical soul is like the tyrannical city. Like a city ruled by a tyrant, his soul is wretched and full of misery and slavery. Like the tyrannical city, the tyrannical soul sees one part of the soul, the appetite, free, while the rest of the soul, including its highest and best parts, is enslaved to the appetite. At 577e, Socrates says that the tyrannical soul is least able to do what it wishes. And this may surprise us, because we would assume that the tyrant of all people is free to do whatever he wishes. So my first discussion question: how is the tyrannical soul unfree, according to Plato? Why isn't it the case that tyranny simply means the freedom to do whatever you wish? Next, when Glaucon says that the tyrannical-souled person is the most miserable and wretched of all human beings, Socrates disagrees. There is one person more wretched even than the tyrannical-souled man, and that is the tyrannical-souled man who becomes an actual tyrant. Note here that the exact situation that was praised by Thrasymachus back in Book 1, achieving a life of complete injustice, is described by Plato here as the worst thing that could possibly happen to anyone. So my second discussion question for you: how is the tyrannical-souled tyrant even more wretched than the tyrannical-souled non-tyrant, according to Plato? Next, Socrates says that the tyrant lives in a kind of prison, which is made up of his own fears and passions. We see again that tyranny is not a source of freedom, but rather a source of loss and limitation. Thus, the tyrant's life is not one that any reasonable person would prefer to the just life. This is Plato's first argument in reply to Glaucon's challenge. The second argument in favor of the just life begins at 580d. Plato tells us that each part of the soul loves or takes pleasure in a different object. Appetite loves many things, chiefly the satisfaction of its many desires. Since this satisfaction for food or drink can often be purchased with money, Plato calls appetite the money-loving part of the soul. Spirit is the victory-loving or honor-loving part, and reason is the learning-loving part of the soul. Plato then asks us to consider which type of person has the most experience with all three types of pleasure. Since the philosopher, who is governed by reason, has experienced all three types, we should accept his judgment that the life of knowledge and justice is the best life. The money lover and the victory lover don't have enough experience to give their judgments any authority. Now this ends my brief look at part of Book 9 of Plato's Republic. Thanks for watching today. Goodbye.